Hello everyone, and welcome to the Content Market Webinars by GICM. This webinar series takes place on the third Wednesday of each month, aiming to share insights and experiences from experts in the industry. So far this month, we will be covering the best of Ramadan 2025. So first, allow me to introduce myself, and joining me, Michel Zreik and Mustafa Hmood. So first of all, I'm Reem Kassem. I'm a media researcher at Ipsos for more than 50 years now, with extensive experience in traditional and digital media, working closely with big names in the industry, one of which is MBC. Hmood, a senior media executive with over 20 years of experience in content strategy, acquisition, and production across the MENA region, currently leading Arabic series at MBC Studios. Along with Michel Zreik, a creative producer and format advisor with 15 years of experience in content creation for both linear and digital platforms, specializing in GCC-oriented entertainment and lifestyle formats. But before we start our panel session and interesting discussion, I would like to take you through a few numbers which will actually drive the industry and support our work and what our discussion will be all about. So first, I will open the presentation. Okay, so since we're talking about Ramadan is all about the family. It's about watching TV. It's about gathering around, and this is also projected in the data and in the typology of data that people tend to view. During Ramadan, and this data based on Saudi viewership, we have 95% of the people tuning in to watch TV on a daily basis, where they spend around 5 hours and 6 minutes daily. In terms of the time, the day part where they view the TV channels, we have the prime time, which is around post-iftar. It is also the time when people or when the TV stations start airing their premium content and their first runs of the series, the programs, and the comedy shows. They are usually post-iftar, and this is why the trend is the trend peaks and the viewership is catered more towards that timing. Moving into the typologies which people tend to watch. So we have here the program genre. So they are the programs that are aired on TV. So we have the share of airtime. So if we want to compare Ramadan to non-Ramadan, we see that TV channels, they tend to offer more series and more social and cultural programs during Ramadan compared to non-Ramadan. When we look at the share of audience, we see that also there's a big interest in series typology in specific, which grabs 54% of the viewership when it comes to the TV content being viewed during Ramadan. And if we want to look at the share of the dollars or at the share of the expenditures, we can also see that series is the main driver. And compared to non-Ramadan, it drives much more money to the industry when we're talking about TV viewership. Now, of course, and we need not to forget that the OTT platforms are playing a significant role in our region, and they are actually entering the market and the Ramadan scene. And you can see, like, starting with Yango last year, when they made their entrance, they just entered the market at Ramadan with exclusive content catered to Ramadan. And this year, even the competition is even more fierce, with a lot of OTT platforms participating in the Ramadan scene aside from TV. So here we also tend to see that 87% of the people tend to stream video content online during Ramadan, especially post-TV hours. So you can see that TV is mainly viewed post-iftar, but later at night, it's more towards the OTT platforms. We have 40% of the people tuning into the OTT streaming platforms to watch series, and we have 61 looking for platforms with diverse range of Arabic content. So here it will tell us the importance of the Arabic content and how much it's a main driver for watching on OTT platforms. And what has this caused us? This has caused us a rising demand for local content, and this is why we have seen an increase in the number of homegrown platforms, which has grew significantly and became 6 times more than the international streaming platforms. So now we have 6 times more homegrown streaming platforms in the MENA region compared to international ones. And 82% of the people use homegrown platforms during Ramadan, which is 15% more than the international platforms. Now we will move into our discussion. Michel and Mustafa, can you please unmute yourself? So we've seen the numbers. Certain genre and formats clearly dominate the season. But from your perspective, what do these trends actually tell us about changing audience tastes or expectations during Ramadan? Were there any surprises in what resonated or didn't?
Me or Michel?
Take the lead.
Who would like to?
Please, Michel, go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Reem, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for being here. Actually, for me, from a format perspective, or from someone who is like really did the analyze of Ramadan this year, for me there is a schizophrenic audience, and you're gonna laugh when we say schizophrenic audience, because whatever you give the audience, if you give them comedy, they will say this is not enough. If you give them social tragedies, they will say this is not enough. If you give them local stories, they will say this is not enough. So what was very special this year, and Mustafa will take the lead later on and talk about MBC Studios like implementation this year. What was special is the diversity that we had in the stories. And this year, we can say that after COVID and after all the transformation phases we had in our industry, that this year was a very good year in terms of production, in terms of diversification, in terms of genres. We had so much comedy. We had so much social tragedy. We have historical. We have social. So there were so many genres and subgenres. So the audience was really satisfied, regardless the schizophrenic, like disregarding the schizophrenic part of the audience. Because, for example, if you want to take like concrete examples, you had Ish Ish, one of the most successful dramedies on air this year. It was very well watched, but there was a lot of negative impact on social media. So for me, whatever you give the audience, you cannot expect their reaction. We cannot predict their reaction. We cannot predict their mindset. We're just offering them, and they're consuming.
Mustafa, you want to add anything to that?
You know, as we all like, thank you everyone like for being here, and thank you Reem for the introduction. As we all know, like Ramadan is like the season for the comedy and drama series that has been like for the last more than 30 years. We always like waiting Ramadan to watch comedy and drama. But this year, honestly, we have found something important that we experiment this as an MBC Studios, and the number shows that our top shows this year are like مذكرات رجل عانس and also شهر العشاء. It's based on novels and books. So these are important. That's move that we have. Like usually we used to, because these are the books who are very authentic and very familiar to the audiences, especially in Saudi Arabia. And we found that something new and interested to give some investment on the books, because usually to just translate what is written in letters, to translate it to a picture, and we have very important like stories that we need to tell to our audiences, especially from our like novelists. We're talking about like وليد خليل who did مذكرات رجل سعودي عانس, and شهر العشاء دكتورة بدرية البشر. So the importance today, as Michel was like saying, that to meet the expectations of the audience is very important, but it is difficult. But at the same time, we are able to send them the message, and we work with them together, because we feel, you know, especially as an MBC, we've been like in this market for more than 3 decades, and the expectation is too high. But we always try to show them the different stories, different diverse stories. But I think the most important point that what the audiences are looking for, authentic stories that's similar to relatable, which is, I think this is the key point for them.
I totally agree. Thank you guys. So up to our next question. So as we saw, Arabic content is very important in our region, of course, with Arabs, but also it's the main driver for digital and for the linear TV viewership. But this Ramadan, we saw a bit of shift in the series and the type of series that's being produced. So we have a lot of focus on Egyptian and on Khaliji rather than just on Pan-Arab. So can I know what drove that shift, and were there certain themes or styles that connected more with audiences this season?
Okay, Michel, I'll take this. As we know that Ramadan is a cultural moment, and the TV is a part of our daily rhythm where like family gather together, and also they share the experience of the content together and discuss it with the family and with the friends. But honestly, like I'll just show you that maybe the number of series, especially for the Egyptian this year, I think around 36 series they were produced in Egyptian series, and we understand, especially for when you spoke about the Khaliji, I meant also the Saudi content. I'll just give you a short story about the Saudi content. The first series was produced in 1969. It was Al-Faris Al-Hamadani, produced by Riyadh TV. And from 1969 till 2018, there were like only 170 series produced. But imagine it from 2019 and till 2025, we have now more than 85 series. So there's a huge increase for the number of series that produced for the Saudi audiences, because we feel there are a lot, as I said before, there are a lot of stories is not being told yet. And I think we are focusing more on the Saudi audiences. And the good thing, as we all know, that the Egyptian content can travel for all the region. But also the Saudi content now is being like, I've seen like many people have watched Shar al-Asha and Yomiyat, some of them, they don't understand also the accent, So we feel because the production is good, the stories are very relatable and authentic. So I think that's why it's been able to travel and being watched by the audiences.
I agree also on that. Michel, would you like to add anything?
If I might add something on this. Nowadays, starting 2019, we are forced to categorize the Khaliji productions. When we don't say anymore Khaliji, we say Saudi, Kuwaiti, because long time ago the Kuwaiti series were taking all over the region. Until 2019, I guess, the Saudi productions has started in scripted formats to be more present on the market. Now we were saying in your question, you said that Egyptian and Saudi. For the audience, the Egyptian is nostalgic. For all the MENA region, for the whole region, the Egyptian is nostalgic. So for them, every year, the dialect is common, the faces are very common, the stories are very common, they are relatable. And in every Egyptian series, there is a relatable character. So that's why the audience love the Haduta, the Egyptian Haduta, or the Egyptian story. Because, for example, if we take this year, Ahmed Mikki in his new series, in the past 2 years, Ahmad Ramadan his series, so he's doing some relatable characters. Even Yasmin Abdulaziz this year did, and with Abel Habib, her comeback in Tragedy, she did a very relatable character for the Arab lady who is in divorce and who's raising her kids alone. So these norms make the Egyptian tragedy or the Egyptian content very trendy, very relatable, and the most watched one. Moving to the Saudi stories and Saudi content, for some people, the Saudi stories are still undiscovered. They are still very untouchable. They are still very like, oh, are these things happening in Saudi Arabia? So what Shar al-Asha did this year, by the way, it was a huge highlight on an era of development, of technology, of good stories in the Saudi society. That's what Shar al-Asha did this year. And there are so many people who don't know that the Saudi society has a lot of stories, love stories, spiced up stories. I guess Mustafa agrees on this, that the concept of Saudi Arabia is the Saudi culture is like still very new for the people. So
Correct.
that's why they have the curiosity to watch it. So, for example, even though they don't understand the dialect, and this happened in Shar al Asha, I know a lot of people they don't understand the dialect, the Najdi and the old dialect, but they did an effort to watch it. So this
Correct.
what makes Saudi and Egyptian very trendy this year.
Thank you. My next question will be also to you, Michel. I wanted to understand better what drives the decision to release a show specifically during Ramadan versus off Ramadan. So, how do you advise a TV channel to release this production during a specific period, if it's Ramadan or even like off Ramadan? And are there stories or formats that work better during this month versus the rest of the year?
With the big presence of platforms, VOD as VODs, OTT, in the past few years, the importance of Ramadan presence has become less, or the success in off seasons, the term that we always use, off season, the success in off seasons is also remarkable nowadays. So, for example, whenever a producer or production company or a platform doesn't have enough time to produce for Ramadan, they are launching in post and off seasons. But we need to make it to be very clear, because sometimes there are stillborn productions. There are series that are born dead, basically, when we produce them off Ramadan, because the juiciness, as Mustafa said, in Ramadan, we tend to watch comedy, we tend to watch social drama. So, for example, it's too rare to see science fiction in Ramadan, or to see genres or subgenres in like different type of stories. You have this year Lam Shamsiya, which is a social tragedy of 15 episodes. If we take this type of series and put it in 2018, مثلا, this won't have this huge success. But now with the openness we have in social media and the openness we have in platforms, Lam Shamsiya has done a huge success. Although the story, the core of the story, is not a Ramadan core story.
Correct.
It's not a Ramadan core story. It's a story of a social dramedy, a social tragedy, which comes out in a narrative. So the core of the story is not a Ramadan juicy content. In Ramadan, you need comedy, you need family problems, you need love stories, you need these things. So the success is not related to Ramadan itself. It's related to so many aspects. Basically, uh, uh, how much the story is new, how much the story is relatable to what we are living. So when we are talking about Lam Shamsiya, we know the core of the story. We know that this
Okay.
is very trendy nowadays. It's a debate to talk about every day in the news, every day in our daily lives. So they presented it in very well-known faces during Ramadan in 15 episodes. Even they didn't take the challenge to do it in 30 episodes. They had it in 15 episodes. So this is one thing, basically, for me. There is no more a barrier between Ramadan or non-Ramadan. What makes a Ramadan series successful? The story first, the genre second, and the faces that people love to see in Ramadan.
And the actors.
Yeah. The faces. So, for example, if we want to talk about the Levantine drama, I always give concrete examples. If we want to talk about Levantine drama, we had this year in Lebanon Biddam series. Biddam is a pure 100% Lebanese series. What made this story successful is not only the core of the story, because the core of the story is online since 3, 4, 5 years ago. The faces, this bouquet of actors, this bouquet of faces, the successful, if we want to say, trendy parts made the series successful.
About the 30 and 15 episodes, I just wanted to jump to this question because we're seeing it like it's a new thing and it's becoming more and more common where the Ramadan episodes are no longer 30 episodes, but we have also 15. So, why is it becoming more popular and is it easier or harder to tell a full story within a shorter structure, especially compared to shows outside of Ramadan?
See, I always believe if the narrative is tight, the length doesn't matter as much of the episode. But usually this like 8, 10, or 15 episodes are more friendly to be on OTT. That's everyone is aware of this fact. But like for 15 episodes or less, it's giving you more flexibility in creating this content, in like developing the characters and developing your scripts. Also, it gives also more like to give more diversity for the grid, because we've been like always like, there is many series I'm sure we have watched. We said this doesn't, which were like 30 episodes. Say this could be, the story could be finished in 10 or 15 episodes. But we have been attached to this series and we had no options, honestly, to change that model. But this started, I think, from 2 years, started with the Egyptian series to be like 15 episodes, and it shows very big success. And now also, I think the next Ramadan, they will be more Saudi content, which is on 15 episodes, and we have seen that. I think this is good for the especially for the younger audiences who are watching on OTT, because they are like, they are exploring more content in international platforms, and they are aware of that. See, and they can see like seasonal of series, but it is very less episodes. They can like do a binge watching and just finish the series in 1 or 2 days. So I think it's a trend now, and it shows the results very fast. And as a creators, I think we believed there should be some changes, and I'm sure for like Ramadan 26 and Ramadan 27, we will see more of 15 episodes, or also we will see less episodes. And like I think when in the future, maybe like in 5 years, they will be very less of 30 episodes.
Because
Right,
adding to what
okay.
you said, adding to what Mustafa said, the culture of binge watching from which comes from the OTTs and the AVOD and the SVOD, like influenced a lot of the productions, So when you do a series of 15 episodes, the hype over the series when it's aired at once and people binge watch it is bigger than when you air a series of 30 episodes and you have every day one episode. So this is about the culture also of the audience. And the audience nowadays is very smart. If you go over X and you see people like doing some tweets and writing, you have some people who have a good they have good knowledge actually. They say, oh, okay, this series could finish in 10 episodes. This series could finish in 15 episodes. And they are influencing, these opinions are influential. You can see them on saying, okay, you have too much time talking about this story. Let's move to the other. So nowadays, as producers or format creators or whatever you want to call it, we have to listen to the audience. The model of 30 episodes also on TV should be like reconsidered. Instead of having one series of 30, you can have two series of 15. And this model was adopted at Abu Dhabi TV. They had several stories of 15 episodes, 15 episodes. So this is
Also for MBC this year.
yeah, this is smart. This is smart because we have this binge watching culture.
But isn't it more challenging also to get more content to be broadcasted during the holy month?
I guess Mustafa agrees on this also. We have a lot of stories, but we have no writers. We have few writers. We have a lot of stories. We are struggling in a way with the writers, with the writing room, with finding right writers, or with working on developing good writing skills for writers. To create and to craft solid background stories, solid ground stories. That's what is missing for us. But whenever you have good writers, you don't have to care much about the stories because we have a lot of stories. And as Mustafa said, the exploring a neo type of tragedy or of drama based on novels is now much needed. You have the ground, you have the base. You just have to reshuffle and to rebuild.
And if I can just add to Michel regarding the writers, because yes, I agree with you. But also we started also with our sister company, NBC Academy, and we are training writers every, like here we have like around 40 writers are graduating from the NBC Academy, give them the the training there and the development of their skills. Plus, we put them on writing rooms, like as a juniors in the beginning. Then we give them some tasks to be also attached to like senior writers. And we feel also within also, it is just matter of time that inshallah, like within a few years, we will have like solid like number of good excellent writers, I believe, and that will help us more to develop more stories and also create more content.
More writers who actually work in writing rooms, actually, without the ego of these writers.
We have, like now we were working only on writing rooms, honestly. Yeah. So that's, yes.
Because we have the ego of the series writer in the past 10 years that they are not like really open for writing rooms. And in Egypt, by the way, one of the most famous writing rooms is started by Mariam Naoum. Mariam Naoum was a solo writer for so long. But when she shifted to this model, she had more stories, more productions, more interactive stories. So this is the benefit of having writing rooms.
And I feel with the dynamics of the market and the changes happening, most of the solo writers will accept to work on writing rooms. They could be head writers if they are seniors, but because I feel there is no solo writer can write 30 episodes with the way we are developing now content.
To continue with you, I have a question. So beyond the research and the viewership data, what other factors influence your decision to produce another season of a show? So for example, this year there was a second season of Al-Atawla, a fifth season of Wi-Fi. Shows like Ram's Prank Show have been there for so long, since 2008, I believe. So what keeps these formats coming back year after year?
There are like two different answers maybe to this question. The first question is the successful of the first season or the second and the other seasons, and also it's the successful of it as a viewership and also revenue. Like a part of this is very important, but we work on we do many focus groups, and we do also case studies to understand what the audience is, and we see the interactions of the viewership of the viewers during like Ramadan when we air these shows, especially on social media, and we see what they are like understanding and what they look for. Especially for Al-Atawla, you could see in the first season, the good thing about this show that most of the characters are, like you can see, they are relatable, but they are different characters. We see them every day in our daily life. Okay, they are not similar, but we all have someone is in our life similar to one of these characters, and especially we feel especially our Arabic audiences are very emotional and very attached to the characters, and sometimes also they are looking for the seasons of the stories, but that's what happened with the Al-Atawla. With Wi-Fi, it's just like comedy sketch comedy, so it's always important because we feel that's after iftar, after the Maghrib prayer, there is also the prime time is divided between 7 to till 12 midnight. We have it from 7 to 9 p.m. almost. It's a comedy, the comedy slots, and usually after iftar we need after a heavy meal we need a light program that we relax and we laugh. So that's why coming Wi-Fi, which is I think different stories, and I think now we have done 5 seasons of Wi-Fi, and for Ramiz, Ramiz is Ramadan and Ramadan is Ramiz. That's the viewership always shows that fact that everyone is waiting what Ramiz is doing next Ramadan. And we've been with Ramiz now, as you said, for 13, 14 years. And yes, especially in the social media, as we get some negative sometimes impacts for some shows, but still they watch it and they like it. So these are stories. And also next Ramadan we have other seasons from current Ramadan, because we feel we can just see the numbers, plus we do our homework by doing some focus groups, and see, the audience are like our partners, and they decide what they want to watch this season and next season. So it's just the story very clear for us. Whatever the audience they want, we have to provide them.
If you may allow me to add something, the lack of productions in off seasons, we were talking of the launch of off seasons, make the audience like really waiting for watching their favorite characters in Ramadan series. So this, I guess, this happened with Samil, which is a very famous character, Reem Abdullah, which was a part of Studio 22, or I guess, or 21.
Correct.
For 2 and 3
Correct.
She was part of short sketches, but the big success of this character, okay, and the lack of relatable comedy with relatable characters for the Saudi audience made them do Jack al-Ilm, and Jack al-Ilm is one of the really funniest series to watch this year. It's short. It's very like I call it. It's for a niche audience because not everyone understands the dialect or understands
Correct.
the types of humor they have. But it's really a funny one, and this comes because we have a lack of productions in the off season. Whenever you have productions in the off season, people will forget or people will be watching all over the year. But when you finish a series and you keep a cliffhanger open for another season in Ramadan, that makes a gap, a gap of like 9, 10 months to rewatch again the favorite character. So for me, this. And by the way, there is a short, like a small portion of the audience awaits not only the actors but the directors. For example, this year Muhammad Shakir Khdair made a huge comeback with Ikhwati. So there is a huge fan base for Muhammad Shakir Khdair and this series. So not only focusing on the actors but also focusing on the directors, maybe on the writers, and so on.
Actually, Michelle, I think it is not the lack of the productions, because the example of NBC launched 5 series post Ramadan exactly. It was, but the problem, I think, it's lack of the big stars. They don't, usually they don't like to work outside Ramadan.
Yeah.
But I think this also it's slowly it's changing. But we offer like, I think, almost around 45 series outside Ramadan.
Yeah.
So as a shahid, but the problem is not the biggest stars, which are like known as a Ramadan heroes. But I think this is slowly it's changing, and we believe this is. I'm sure it is changing for the Saudi, because we have on the pipeline all the stars are coming outside Ramadan for this year. But for the Egyptian content, I think it is changing as well, but it needs more time.
It's the process of over.
Yes.
And I think the number of productions catered for the holy month is also amazing, because everyone waits for the season. It's also like even the advertisers, they wait for it, because it became kind of a trend where everyone waits for the season, because it is when all the productions are going to happen and all the viewership is going to happen.
See,
but as you also mentioned with online, it's changing.
Sorry, this Ramadan, if you talk about the MENA region, like with North Africa, Iraq, and other countries, 110 series were produced, which is a huge number.
Yeah, a very big number. About the production, I'm going to go to Michel. What do you think are the biggest challenges that we are facing in production? Is it the tight deadlines, the budget pressure, or the heightened audience expectations?
We have a lot of struggles in production.
Writers.
For me personally, the main problem is with the writers. And I'm sorry for a lot of writers that I know, but the main problem is with the writers. Comes after the problem with the actors. For some of them, we are known for this type of characters. We are known for this type of stories. We don't want to go for a challenge. Okay, it's understandable. But the main problem is not schedules. I guess it's not budgets. It's not schedules. It's with the writers, because we have a lot of stories. We have few writers. We have the time to develop, and some production houses and writers need to understand that a Ramadan series for 30 episodes, for example, or any 30 episode series couldn't be written in 2 months or 3 months. You should start preparing for your season, for your series ahead of time. So, for example, now we're off Ramadan. We should prepare for Ramadan 2027, not 2026, because the preparation for 2026 stories should be over. Should be over. It's in 10 months.
You should start screening.
Yeah, you don't for to screen you have 10 months. You don't have enough time to write now for 2026. You have the time to shoot, to do the post-production, to do the viewing, and to deliver to the platforms and the stations. When we talk about long run series, 30 episodes, 60 episodes, and that's what NBC is doing for them. I guess Mustafa is aware of this. So whenever they want to have a 60 episode series, they don't do it. They don't write it in April and shoot it in September. There is a long run of research, of work, that of homework that should be done in the writing. Then comes the choice of the director. Then comes the choice of the artist, and then comes so many production things and production stuff and location choice. Where are we gonna shoot? How are we gonna shoot? Is it the 40 minutes? Is it the 30 minutes? So these things are the obstacles of nowadays for producing a series. Not only the budget, because I really assume that whenever you have several, for example, this year, if I want to take a concrete example, Layali Roxy was one of the most distributed series over the platforms, more than 20 platforms airing the series. And I guess the series was shot in Syria, and in Syria, the cost of shooting and producing was not that high. It's not as high as in Saudi Arabia or in Dubai or in Lebanon. So it was aired on more than 20 platforms. So you don't have to think about where to air it, because the audience is consuming whatever you offer for the audience is consuming. So what you have to care about is your good story, your good assets, and to move on.
Mustafa, what about the expectations of the audience? Is it also a challenge?
Yeah, actually, will be my answer for this question. For the challenges of Ramadan, it's expectations, honestly, because as I said before, we all targeting now the younger generations, and these are who are exploring more content in international platforms, who are available in our region. And it's also, the competition is very high, especially for a new platforms coming to the region and producing local content. So I think it's very important, but I think is more important is the time that we need to give it to the development. As I said, Michel was trying to explain it regarding the writers. We need to give more. I think we are one of the companies who have developers, who works with the writers, who gives feedback to the writers, who also trying to improve the scripts. Usually, we need more time. I think the time is challenging because, as he said, Ramadan 2026 is 10 months from today, and we are we work ahead as an NBC. We worked ahead in our stories, and we started the scripts, and we should work on the production soon. But managing the expectation is very difficult, because they are looking for high-end productions, and high-end productions also needs more budget, and it's many factors together to come with the result that everyone is at least be able to agree with it. But I think it's challenging, but this is the good test of the content. If you always you have to listen to your audiences, and plus you have to deliver the high-end productions and also develop your stories very well. So I don't feel it's the challenge. It's one of things that we need to work on to strengthen our content.
About that, and I think this is for Michel. Since we are talking about writers and production, what do you think about the user-generated content? Has it become a threat? Is it competing with big productions, or because also we have a lot of viewers that watch online streams, even if it's on Ramadan, a lot of people tend to watch YouTube. They tend to watch programs on YouTube. So how do you see this shaping Ramadan and the viewership in Ramadan?
I have read recently a study done by McKinsey and translated by a Saudi company or platforms called Samawa, I guess, talking about something we call in Arabic al-mushahid sufr, which is the point blank audience, or the audience that doesn't pay a single penny to watch any single series, or the audience or the viewer that watches everything everywhere, is not loyal for any type of series, is not loyal for any type of celebrity, of genre, of platform, blah blah blah. This made me like really think about what we are doing with our audience. Are we listening to our audience? Which type of audience we are listening to? We are basically listening to a percentage of the audience which has access to online accounts, which has access to online presence. There is, as much as these people, there is a lot of audience that don't express themselves on social media. There is a bigger amount of audience that is not loyal to productions, that watch content over piracy websites, over Telegram. I was really surprised that there are series on Telegram, guys. You have over messengers, you have channels that air series. So facing all these things nowadays, okay, we are listening to the audience, but there is a bigger part of the audience that we don't know their feedback. We don't know if they like or not. And this is for us a problem. Because, for example, if the audience that is online and is in love with love stories, okay, or third wheel love stories or whatever, and you're still offering them this type of series, this type of stories, you'll reach an end where there is an audience who's not watching you anymore. You're losing your audience, you're losing more people. So for me, the social media engagement or the user generated content or the user comments and opinion should be taken into consideration, but should not be prioritized.
But also, do the audience interaction on social media shape the success of, let's say, Ramadan series? Like as Mustafa said, like in MBT, they do a lot of research and they listen to their audience a lot. And let's say for Ramaz, there was a lot of negative feedback, yet people still watched this show. Did you do anything to change or to amend or to listen to the audience and apply it to the show in order to retain those viewers that are watching Ramaz? They are attacking him, and yet they're still hooked on to this show. So how do you see social media? What role is social media playing in the success of those shows?
Obviously, it is important, negative or positive impact is very important for the show because, they are talking about the same show, also the same presenter who's doing the show. So we feel, we listen to them and we understand what points they don't like. And we see the majority, how they react to the show. It's one of the drivers, but it is not the main driver, because in social media you get like voices from everywhere. Okay, while when we do our focus groups, we understand exactly what are the target audience we want and what are the ages and what is their like educational backgrounds, and we also gather most of all this information together. And we have also, like, when we present like a series or a script or something, we have like at the first stage we have readers who are coming and read like any content we have. They have no background about how they develop content. And also we go to the next stage. We are like, some people they have more like experience. So it's more like we focus in many ways till we get like one. It's like a pyramid. Then we get the more like reasonable actually feedback that could help the show for the next season. Or also what we always like do learning like after a show aired, and we see all the numbers and we see all the feedbacks and we did all research. We just see what are the learnings we have learned from this project, and then we apply it for the next season, or even if with a similar project, they have the same genre.
Okay, one more question for you, Mustafa. Thank you for that. Basically, as MBC, I would say you have specific series or programs that you air on your MBC channels, and then there are exclusive series that, or also programs that you air on Shahid, and sometimes you air them on both, linear and digital. So how do you decide to go on either platform or on both? And even if you go on both, how do you decide on the scheduling? So let's say one series is going to be aired on MBC One and on Shahid. So when do you decide when to put the first episode of each? At what time, I would say?
Yes, as you know, for it's a matrix of factors: genre, and also target audiences and revenue model, plus the viewing behavior. So like there are some shows are relevant to be on TV and not relevant to be on the platform, or like they are hybrid, they can work on both. So we found out like we have typed the shows in three types. We have like called Shahid Originals. The shows are only like will be aired only on the platform, and we have like the shows who are airing only on TV and catch up on the platform, and we have shows that airing first airing on the platform, then it's the second airing on TV. There is no especially short shows, which are 8 episodes, are the Shahid Originals. Okay, and they will be a window of between 6 months to 1 year, if they are not Shahid Originals, and they will be aired on the TV. Only in Ramadan it's worked simultaneous. They work together, but it depends on the type of the show. And also we always look to the revenue model, because some shows are more, it's better to have more subscribers, because we put targets for each show. So to have more subscribers is better, and it's better to put it on the platform only, and it's becoming like exclusive for the platform. And we have like some shows that we need to monetize it between the platform and the channel. So it's depends on as I said, on the genre and the target audience.
And monetization.
Yes, of course, that's very important.
Thank you. Michel, do you have anything to add for that?
Actually not, but what we see nowadays is the audience that is being driven to OTT platforms, which everyone is like prioritizing this type of audience, because this is the audience that have access to what we previously said, that we can hear from them. And what we are really wishing in the upcoming years, that the piracy all over the region here decreases, because this makes a huge, that makes all our productions like really leaked, or like without having any feedback on them, or make them like really meaningless. Whenever you're tired for a series of 20 episodes and you see it on Telegram with a very super low quality of upload, this is sad, by the way.
I feel all your efforts are gone.
Yeah, because this is not a single person effort. This is a group of 200 people's effort. So all the production houses or the platforms are doing their best, but the piracy is the main thing that we suffer in our airing or broadcasting period.
My last question to you, Michel, and it's about AI. So since AI is being introduced to everything, I want to also see how is it influencing your workflow, from writing scripts, generating visuals, programming grids, or scheduling also across platforms. So do you see that there are tangible benefits from the AI, or do you still see it in the early stages of implementation?
We are in a very early stage of experimentation still. It's too early to say that we can implement the AI in any type of intellectual work or intellectual research or even audience study or whatever. You can have references from the AI, you can have drafts from the AI, you can count on the AI on scheduling, on doing grids, but you need to reshuffle it or to recheck it. But for me, we are in a very, very, very early stage of experiment.
Thank you. Mustafa, do you have anything also to add on that?
Yeah, I agree with Michel. We are in a very early stage because we need to find the right workflows between the pre-production and the production and the post, and each one of them also inside this we have to find the right workflows and then the right formula that can drive all this together, and we come with the right picture in the end. But it's visible. We can see there's a future with it, and we are experimenting this as like individuals, and I'm sure as the companies as well.
I think this comes to the end of my sessions, but I have my questions, but I have a few questions from the audience, some of which we have already answered during our discussion, but for Mustafa, looking ahead to 2026, what kind of themes or genre do you think will dominate future Ramadan programming based on this year's performance?
As I said, the novels that we worked on, it shows that it is very important to look at this, like developing more books and work like what we did in last year. But I feel again, still the habit for Ramadan is comedy and drama, because it's the time that where family is gathering. I'm not sure about if the action series could work. We are working on more focusing groups, but again, we hope that to have like a very good successful story like we had this year, and it is promising that we might have different genres next Ramadan.
I might, but that's something here when Mustafa is saying about novels, what they did this year is that they adapted family-oriented novels.
Correct.
Not a random type of novels or not a successful novel by itself. We know that Dr. Bedriya Bishar has several books and several stories and several novels. One of them that I read recently is called تزوج السعودية. It's a brilliant novel, but this type of novels, for example, is not a Ramadan material. You need some family-oriented content for Ramadan. So what made Shara al-Asha basically, if like really want to talk about Shara al-Asha here, made it really successful because you have relatable characters, relatable culture, family-oriented content. You have comedy, you have tragedy, you have daily problems. So this is a novel that has sub stories under it, sublines under it that are family-oriented.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when it comes to Ramadan, it's about the family. It's the only month where all the people are always gathered, and it has the highest viewership in terms of family and not alone. But if you look at OTT, it's more towards watching individually. Okay, one more question for you, Michel, and this is from the audience. Were there any co-productions or partnerships this year that stood out in terms of impact or audience reach? And do you see more cross-border collaboration happening for Ramadan content in the future?
When they say cross-border collaborations, it means we're talking broadly. And when we say Ramadan, when we say Ramadan is more. You said it. It's more family-oriented, and we know by heart what can be successful. If you want to make a standout, if you want to make something like really to be proud of, or to make something with cross-border or with collaborations, or if you want to adapt a format or bring, as we were talking before the session started, if you want to bring, for example, a new format and test it, you don't want to run in the competition. You need to find a spot for yourself outside the competition so that if you don't succeed, you don't fail. Because in Ramadan, if you don't succeed, if you don't have enough audience, if you don't have enough presence, you fail. Outside Ramadan, it's not the case. Outside Ramadan, there is no competition, there's no high demand, there's no high competition. So whatever series you have online, people are watching. Whatever series you have on TV, people are watching. So This is what makes a bit the concept of co-production, cross-border collaborations makes it a bit blurry in Ramadan. Unless you have the story that helps you making this in a very safe area, in a very safe zone, in a very safe time frame, we can make it.
Yes, very interesting and totally agree. I think there's no more questions from the audience. And with that, thank you all for your great insight. And now it's the time that we end the session. So to everyone watching, please send your questions if you still have any. And if not, then that's it for, thank you for your time actually. And thank you everyone for attending. And a special thank you to Michel and Mustafa for joining today.
Thanks.
I think it was a very interesting session, and I think we can go more and more in our conversation, but we are very limited to our time. So in case you didn't watch the full session, a recording of this webinar will be published on the dicm.ae website by next week. And the next webinar will be Content Accessibility, Reaching the World with Subtitles, Dubbing, and Multilingual Narratives, which will be streamed live on the 21st of May 2025. Aside from that, in case you don't know already, the Dubai International Content Market will be taking place from the 4th to the 5th of November 2025 this year. So for more information, you can also visit their website, dicm.ae. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.